Well, folks, good evening to you one and all, and yeah, your favorite time of the week, your favorite iRacing crew. Welcome. It is Wednesday night. It's 20 past 9. It's time to have fun with West Brabant Sports and GT Masters and Grandmasters that'll be out there on circuit this evening. And as you can see, tonight we at JEREZ and we are in the GTEs. Last week was in the GT3s. This week will be in the GTE, a little bit of variety. So let's see who's going to be out there. The likes of Atinachol, Gerald Mouget, Indomitable Graham Stephen, Captain / Sir Peter van der Spey. His nemesis out there on circuit, Leonardo Vicari, that's giving him horns this season. Carl Lawrence, Sandro Vicari, Timothy Stanton. Probably the success story of 2024. Stephen McCarthy, Petty Hubert, Swayze Hubert, Leon van Wyk, the super quick, hard driving Robert Briggs, Johan Engelbrecht, Michael Stephen, and Wesley Lewin. That's the gents that's going to be out there. Let's have a shofty at what that JEREZ circuit looks like. Not that well-known names for corners. Cito Pons, wow, that's a very well-known name. Michelin, Expo, Ayrton Senna Chicane, Drysack Lorenzo. I wouldn't exactly say it is sort of like iconic names like what we've had at some of the other circuits, but it is what it is. It's still a very well-known circuit, let's put it that way. So let's see how the times are going to play themselves out. Timothy Stanton finds himself at the front end of the grid. Oh, that's a blinding timer, 133.27. Now, I'm not going to claim to know how the guys have been going in the practice sessions, who's practiced a lot, who hasn't, because I haven't actually been able to watch it. So let's just blindly look at this. Timothy Stanton, always in the top 4, 5, 6, the fastest qualifier. That's interesting. Leon van Wyk alongside him, provisionally in the being IT entry, and that just by 0.22 of a second. Second row provisionally, Swayze Hubert in the 22. Atinachol, well done. Atinachol provisionally on the second row of the grid, ahead of, can you believe it, Michael Stephen and Graham Stephen. The highly acclaimed Robert Briggs behind Atinachol as well. So he'll be super chuffed with that. Atinachol on a 133.74. Going down to Robert Briggs on a 0.98. Graham Stevens says, what? What are you talking about? I'll just pop up onto the second row of the grid. Now, where's Michael Stephen? Let's see where he is out on circuit. Oh, having said that, Michael Stephen pops up onto the front row of the grid. The Stephen brothers obviously were tuned in to the commentary and said, what is this man talking about? Let's just even the playing field here. So provisionally, as we watch Michael Stephen doing another flyer, we got Timmy and Michael on the front row of the grid. Leon holding on to that second row with Robert. Graham Stephen, let's just have a look at where Graham is on the track. He's still got a bit of a way to go. He'll come around and sticking another quick one. I wouldn't be surprised if he moves forward. Swayze Hubert rounds out the outside of the third row provisionally. But if you think about it, it's only 13 hundredths of a second to go one further forward. It's only 14 hundredths of a second to go two further forward. And then It's only about 18 hundredths of a second to go 3 places further forward. So it is very, very close. In fact, the top 10, all the way down to Carl Lawrence, all of them on the same second, if you'd like to refer to it as that. The golden 1 minute 33. Is anybody going to break that fast 133, get into a 32? I don't know. It's not going to be easy for anybody to do that. But Timmy Stanton is the fastest man out there. Wow. And he's got Michael Steven. Oh, Leon van Wyk pops in. Leon van Wyk pulls into the house and says, Robert Biggs, move aside. Michael Steven, Graham Steven, Swayze Hubert, and Ati Nagel that was right up front, bounced all the way down to that 7th position. Carl Lawrence sticking around there in 9th. Sandra Bakari giving it horns out there. A 1 minute 34.00, and that makes him 3/10 quicker than a captain Peter van der Spey. Peter van der Spey would have been pretty much odds-on pre-season favourite, but I tell you what, Sandra Bakari's come to the party. Sandra Bakari has given a lot of the Masters a hiding on numerous occasions, as has Peter van der Spey. So don't think because the fellows are over 60 years of age they can't do it with the over 40s. They can still do it. They are the cream of the crop at this stage of the fight in the Grand Masters. Almost 8 minutes in, and Peter Hubert has now joined in. Wow, there we go. There comes Peter. He's the only man that does not have a clean full lap in yet. It'll be interesting to see where Peter Hubert can drop in. I'm going to guesstimate around about where Stephen McCarthy is, around about the 8th or 9th position. That's where I'm going to guesstimate he's going to come in. I haven't had a chance to watch his whole lap, but I mean, we know how consistent and smooth Peter Hubert is, and let's see how this one pans itself out. Is my guesswork anywhere near accurate? Or was it a clean lap? Was it a no, that was a warm-up lap. It wasn't a oh yeah, and he's slowing down. Peter Hubert is slowing down. That's a major problem because there's only 8 minutes 44 to go, which means he knows he will not be able to finish another lap, and that means Peter Hubert is going to be coming 16th and last off the back end of the pack. Wow, that's a big knock for him. Leonardo Bakari using the track, the outer section, the curbstones, and a bit of the gravel trap. Working it around the island is cool because you can go with the Porsche. He's going to try and bump it just a little bit closer to the front. Is he going to complete this lap in time? It's going to be very marginal. We are 9 minutes 25 in. You see where he is on the track map. He might still make it to complete this one and then bump himself a little bit closer up to the other Grand Masters, which are Sandra Bakari and Peter van der Spey. Come on, Leonardo, give it horns. I don't think he's going to make it. There's still 15 seconds to go. Now look how far he's got to go. Keep the hammer down, keep the hammer down, keep the hammer down. Nope, he's not going to make it. He's not going to be able to complete that one in time. As the 10 minutes comes to an end and he was going into the very last bend at that point, and it didn't work out for him. Well, that's a pity for Leonardo. He finds himself a little bit further back than where he would like to be. So, Timothy Stanton, pole position. Well done, Timmy. I think that could be a maiden pole position, in fact. Timmy Stanton from Leon van Wyk. Very quick run there by Robert Briggs, ahead of Michael and Graham Stevens. Swayze Hubert from Ati. Steven in the top 8. Well done. Carl just outside of the top 8. Pretty good. Wesley Lewin, Gerald Majay, Johan Engelbrecht. They're all in there. Behind Johan Engelbrecht will be Leonardo Bakari. And then Peter Hubert as well. Let's have a little bit towards the front end of the field. Timothy Stanton, I do believe that is a maiden pole position for Timothy Stanton. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. If I'm right, congratulations. That's awesome stuff. Timothy Stanton, Leon van Wyk, second row, Robert Briggs and Michael Steven. Third row, Graham Stephen and Swayze Hubert. Fourth row, bedecked by Ati Nagel and Stephen McCarthy. The fifth row, rounding out the top 10, Carl Lawrence and the first of the Grand Masters, Sandra Bakari. The sixth row, Peter van der Spey and Wesley Lewin. Seventh row, Gerald Maget and Johan Engelbrecht. And then the next row behind that, Leonardo and Peter. Peter, the only man that was not able to put together a lap in time. Lots of cars in the car park as well. So a warm-up lap it's going to be. They'll work their way around a possible 16 laps. 25 minutes is the cutoff, and or 16 laps. Looks like the pace car is taking them around at a pretty decent pace there. Calm before the storm. I think it's going to be very close. Personally, I think it's going to be very, very close. Looking back from pole sitter Timothy Stanton. The Roland Manifolds entry. Look at that, Robert Briggs in that BMW. He's good to go. Robert Briggs. I think Robert on the second row of the grid is probably one of his best to date as well. It's a very high position for him to be. Stephen McCarthy is going to be a real thorn in their side in 8th position with Ati Nagel, who originally was looking very, very strong a little bit earlier on this evening in the practice. Don't be surprised if he has a pretty good run out there as well. Timothy Stanton right on the back bumper of that pace car. You can see as they work their way around. Nice size pack, all 16 of them out there. The Roland's Manifold Racing entry of Timothy Stanton, the son of Rowley Stanton, the designer of Roland Manifolds, which is intakes for just about everything that you can think of that's ever been built by man for man. He's done all the design of those manifolds all the years. Carries massive amounts of stock there as well on carburetors, Weavers and Delortes. Timothy deciding, nah, that's not for him. He'll rather get a little bit involved in numbers and accounting. He's got his own accounting firm as Timothy Stanton. Leon van Wyk, Being IT, that's his own company as well, Being IT. The rest of the crew come working their way through down towards that last corner. There you can see as they come towards the entry to the pits. And we're just about good to go. I don't think Timothy Stanton's going to wait around. I wouldn't be surprised if he just climbs on the gas. He's got Leon van Wyk alongside him. He's got Robert Briggs in there behind him. Hanging slightly back is Michael Stephen. Michael Stephen's going to try and get the run, but Graham Stephen gets the gas on as well. Michael Stephen gets it exactly the way that he wants it. Gets up on the outside line of Leon van Wyk. Leon gets really squeezed in there. Oh, and the two Stephen brothers knock into one another, and that is just going to turn everything completely upside down. As Timothy Stanton pulls away at the front end of the pack. Then it is Robert Briggs. It's Leon van Wyk. Then there's that massive gap that was created with the Stephen guys knocking into one another. And then it is Swayze Hubert. Look how they're coming through. 1 for 1 thereafter. There is Peter Hubert. Then I think it's Ati Nagel. I saw just in the background. Yep, there's Ati Nagel. Sandra Bakari. They're all in there. Wow, Graham Stevens gone into pits. Peter van der. That's everybody that's got involved with that pile-up that had literally nowhere to go whatsoever. So it all started off with the Stephen brothers that touched up against one another. Let's see how that one played itself out quickly. on the outside line. They were all three very close to one another. Leon had nowhere to go. Tip on the back bumper, tip on the nose, ends up sideways in front of everybody and just like nowhere to go with that one. Let's have a look at it from Graham's point of view. He was up on the inside of Leon as they try and go three abreast. Tries to go up on the inside of Leon, touches his brother, gets knocked from behind, and then he also had nowhere to go. Everybody else just comes piling in there. So that created a massive pile up. Let's go back to the live and see how it's going for Timothy Stanton up front. Look at that. Timothy Stanton has just decided, you guys fight it out at the back. I'll sort things out here at the front end of the field. And doing a lovely job of it as well. Look at that. He's just up, dusted, and disappeared and moved away from that. Let's have a broader look at that Michael and Graham. Briggs is in there nice and neatly. The two brothers touch. Well, it's every man for himself from there on out. There was just nowhere to go. Stephen McCarthy came flying into that one, and what does Stephen McCarthy do? Tries to go right around the outside, but even that, he still ended up getting blocked and couldn't get through there. So enough of that. Back to Timothy Stanton. He's got the fastest lap so far. There's Timothy Stanton. There is Robert Briggs and Leon van Wyk. Then a big gap back to Stephen McCarthy, was one of the first people that managed to get through. Then going a little bit further back, 13 seconds further back, Peter Hubert. Wow, Peter Hubert has made a gap. Sandro Bakari finds himself ahead of Peter van der Spy, but remember, Peter van der Spy has been into the pits. In fact, there's a lot of guys, Michael, Graham, Peter, Wesley, and Johan, that is all into the pits. The only one that's coming out at this stage of the fight is, okay, there they all start now. Peter van der Spy on his way out, Graham Stephen on his way out, Wesley Lewin on his way out, Johan Engelbrecht coming out now as well. So that, to my mind, was massively long pit stops that they were in. They find themselves a lap down, so there must have been lots of damage on those motor cars in those incidents. I see Wesley Lewin had an incident now as well. Where was Wesley with that one? Also tied in, nowhere to go, tried to miss everybody and everything, and yeah, that was just one of the collateral damages of that first one. But they all sorted out from there. Looks like, did Peter van der Spy have another? Yeah, Peter van der Spy had a double knock with it. Oh, look how that car is crabbing. That's why he went straight back to the pits. That car is literally undrivable, and that explains why Peter went back into the pits as such. Timothy Stanton, Michael Briggs, Leon van Wyk. Long way back we go to Steve McCarthy. Where is Peter? There comes Peter Hubert. Is Sandra going to come into the same shot? Yep, there is Sandra Bakari. Let's put up that battle box so you can see exactly how this one plays itself. Timothy Stanton doing it all right. Brilliant stuff for Timothy Stanton. A 133.57. He's the fastest man out there so far. So it's going to be all about how quick he can get around the island and stay away from everybody else. Talking about everybody else, Robert Briggs has got the being IT entry of Leon van Wyk directly on his back bumper. They are the second and third place. Leon having a little bit of a look there at Robert Briggs, but you don't get past Robert Briggs very easily. They've got 5 seconds on Stephen McCarthy, lap number 4 of a possible 16, so pretty much a quarter of the way, almost 6 minutes into the possible 25. And the battle that you see in front of you there, that is for second and third position. Robert Briggs and Leon van Wyk, both of them qualified very, very well. The gap behind them to Stephen McCarthy, the first of the guys that managed to get through that mayhem that there was earlier on. Pity Bear will use this opportunity, that is for sure, as so will Sandra Bakari. Well, Sandra Bakari is going to have to hoof it because Peter van der Spey has been in and out of the pits, but it was a very long stop for Peter van der Spey, so I'm not too sure how that one's going to play itself out when they finish all the pit stops. I think Sandro might be in a pretty decent position. Woohoo! Briggs right off the track. Gets it all back together again. Robert Briggs from Leon van Wyk. The gap between them and the leader slowly but surely opening up. 3.23 between the lead man and he's gonna have a go at it, and unfortunately they do make contact. Leon goes through on Robert Briggs, gets up into that second position. He did stick his nose in. He wasn't in very deep, but he stuck his nose in. Robert decided he's going to fight for that position. We'll wait until they get an open lap, a complete full open lap without slowing one another down, and then we'll be able to get an idea between Timothy Stanton and the likes of Leon van Wyk and Robert Briggs. How do they play out in straight speed? I do think Leon van Wyk could be a smidgen quicker than Robert Briggs, but then again it's going straight into the pits. He's obviously not happy with the way that car's handling. Came in hard to not lose unnecessary time there. Robert Briggs goes into the pits, decides let's put some new rubber on, let's put a bit of fuel into this one. Pity Bear is going to be the next man coming through, so he'll come past Robert Briggs. Sandra Bakari, the next man that's there in the background. Sway Subert a little bit further back. Let's see who has been in and out of the pits already. The lead man that is into the pits and on his way out is Robert Briggs. Can Robert Briggs come out at the front end of the one-stoppers? Yes, he does. And the man directly behind him is in fact Sway Subert. And Sway Subert is also in and out of the pits, so that in fact is going to be one massive battle, with Robert Briggs being ahead of a Sway Subert. There you can, on the edge of the circuit, Sway Subert can just see Robert Briggs in certain sections of the circuit as he comes up the hill. That little dot that you see there in the future, that in fact is the man that he's trying to get to. It's Michael Stephen and Wesley Lewin that's directly in front of him. So he's got a little bit of open ground, and it's going to make things possible for him to do some of his magic. Sway Subert 6 seconds behind Robert Briggs. That's the man that's been in and out of the pits. But now keeping in mind that Robert Briggs and Leon van Wyk were around about 3.6, 3.7 at the point that there was a spin around there. I think that's Pity Bear that spun it around. About 3.6, 3.7 off Timothy Stanton at the time that Leon van Wyk and Robert Briggs had a bit of contact, and with Leon sticking up on the inside and the two of them touching and losing a bit of time there. So having said that, how much time did Robert actually lose and how much time did Leon actually lose? I think Robert lost more time than what Leon did. So probably when Leon goes in and out of the pits, Leon would probably come out ahead then of Robert Briggs. Can Leon catch Timothy Stanton? Well, let's have a look at the last times that they have done, because they've now been in some open traffic. The last lap was a 133.9, a 133.87. Leon van Wyk is on his way to try and go and fetch the man up front. I think that's why he was so desperate to get past Robert Briggs. Pretty that there was contact between the two of them, but the whole idea was to get past Robert. I think he felt that he was maybe a smidgen quicker, but every lap that goes is another tenth or 2/10 or maybe even 3/10 that Timothy Stanton would get away, and then he would be impossible to catch from there on out. So I think Leon van Wyk was just responding to the situation that he found himself in and trying to get going onto the back end of a Timothy Stanton as quick as possible. Timothy Stanton looking pretty good. There's nobody anywhere near him at this stage of the fight, apart from, he should come into view. There he is. There's Leon van Wyk. Going a little bit further back is Stephen McCarthy. That should be Peter Hubert. That's just behind that. There comes Peter Hubert. Sandro Bakari. Beautiful stuff by Sandro. Robert Briggs, the man that's been in and out of the pits. And there is Swace. And Swace doesn't look like he's going to be able to catch Robert. I think Robert's putting up some pretty quick times. Let's have a look at the last lap time of Robert Briggs. 1:34.5. And, well, it's not quicker than Timothy. Timothy's still the quickest man out there. Leon van Wyk and Robert Briggs, 100th of a second between them in the last lap. So that just shows you that there was really nothing between Robert and Leon at the time that they were trying to go and chase down Timothy Stanton and not slow one another up at all. So from the top end down, it's Timothy Stanton, Leon van Wyk, Stephen McCarthy. Lovely looking motor car there. There comes Peter Hubert. There comes Sandro. Then there's quite a gap. Oh, look at this battle. Robert Briggs, and he's got Michael Stephen and Gerald Majay right in there behind him. That's going to make for some interesting stuff. Leonardo Bakari's just gone into the pits. Looks like Wesley Lewin has had her off. Let's just see what happened to Wesley. Carries massive speed through there. That looks good. Comes in kind of deep. Gets too quick on the gas. That's the last corner going into the straight. And Wesley Lewin takes himself out. It looks like Robert Briggs had an incident just before that. Let's just see how that one played itself out. Was that passing maneuver that made the difference? Yes, it was. That was when Leon wanted to go up on the inside. That's why I say Leon lost less time than Robert in that specific incident. But that was the battle for that specific position. Graham Stephen coming up onto the back end of Peter van der Spy. They are, in fact, in a fight for overall position. Graham Stephen behind Peter van der Spy. Both of them having been into the pits. Peter van der Spy does not try and block the passing maneuver. He says, you go. I'm going to keep on trucking. I want to make sure that it's difficult for anybody to catch me from behind. Lap number 10 of a possible 16, 15 of the 25 laps that we've done already. And that was Graham Stephen that just passed Peter van der Spy and made it look realistically easy. So who is the, but then again, as I said, Peter doesn't want to lose time so that anybody else can come and catch him from behind. If a man is quicker than you, don't slow him down, let him go. Use his draft and up your pace to make it more difficult for the next man to catch onto you. So the leading man that has been into the pits already is Robert Briggs. Robert Briggs has got a decent gap of 4 seconds on Swace Hubert. There comes Swace, and there's still 2 cars between himself and the man he needs to get to. Gerald Majay directly in front of him, and then Michael Stephen in front of that, and only then can he get to Briggs. But the front end of the field, that's Leon that's gone in It's Stephen that's gone in as Pity Hubert, that's gone in as Sandro Bakari, that's gone in. Now, with all of these guys in the pits, the question now is, where is Robert Briggs? If he comes through and he comes past all of them, he'll bypass every single one of them. And that takes him up into second overall. Only Leon, the man that managed to get past him in that passing maneuver in the attempt to get to the man that started in pole position and leads out by a proverbial mile. But keep in mind, Timothy Stanton is the only person that has not been into the pits. What is a pit time? Around about 6.9 up till about 8. Pit lane time, probably you're not going to get away under 35, 36, somewhere around there. That's going to make it very, very marginal. Timothy Stanton comes into the pit. It looks like, I'm going to take a guess that he's going to come out ahead of Leon van Wyk. Because remember, Leon was about 3 seconds behind Timothy. And then he still had a bit of a slowdown with what happened between himself and Robert Briggs. Here comes Leon van Wyk. This is the deciding factor. Leon van Wyk from Timothy Stanton. There's Timothy Stanton. Where is Leon van Wyk? There comes Leon van Wyk. Where's Timothy Stanton? Timothy Stanton's on his way out of the pits. Where's Leon van Wyk? Here comes Leon van Wyk. He's on your left-hand side. It's going to be all about Timothy Stanton. And there's Leon van Wyk in there behind him as we hit the 18-minute mark. And Leon flashes his light, says, I'm here, boy. Here comes Johnny. It's Leon van Wyk that's having a lovely time out there, flashing at Timothy from behind as he comes out of the pits. The moment they got into the straight line, say, how's the boykie? I'm right here. I know exactly who you are and where you are as we go on board with Leon van Wyk. And that's his target. That bright green and silvery, or should we say grey, I suppose, colors of the Stanton Manifolds entry. One times BMW that leads out, one times Porsche in the hands of the being IT man Leon van Wyk in that second position, as he's trying to get slowly but surely just a little bit closer. So once they now have both got clean laps, we'll be able to see exactly what the difference is in lap times between the two of them. Everybody has been into the pits. That was the last laps that they did, keeping in mind that Timothy Stanton did go into the pits. So let's see. Timothy Stanton coming out of the pit lane, and he puts in a 48 as opposed to the 34. That's because you're coming slowly out of the pit lane. So the only way that we're going to get a real idea of that one is once they've done yet another lap. So let's have a little look at the rest of the field. Robert Briggs, 7 seconds further back. Suisse Hubert, another 6 seconds further back. Stephen McCarthy within sight of the man that he's looking for. Pity Hubert in sight of the man that he's looking for. Sandro Bakari almost in sight of the next man in front of him. And then there's a massive 25 seconds back to Ati Nagel. The Grand Master leader is the man you're looking at right now. That's Sandro Bakari. Second behind that is Leonardo Bakari, two brothers. And because of that first lap incident, Captain Peter van der Spey finds himself a little bit further back, a long way. In fact, there's 19 plus 6, it's about 25 seconds further back is Captain Peter van der Spey. So this is going to be a major knock for Peter, as Sandro will come up with odds on probably a win in class. Leonardo odds on probably a second in class, and Peter odds on probably a third in class. So that will be a big boost for the points Let's have a look, see how does this one play itself out. Timothy Stanton does a 134.1, Leon a 134.2, Robert a 134.9, and the 135.2 by Swace. So the front four, in the order that they are, the front man is the fastest of the lot, the second man is the second fastest of the lot, the third man is the third fastest of the lot, and same and similar for the fourth man out there, Swace. That is the fourth fastest on that specific lap. We've got 3 minutes 15 seconds to go, and I think the way they are now is pretty much the way that it's going to stay. People that we haven't seen literally at all is Carl Lawrence, Wesley Lewin. We haven't exactly seen much of Wesley Lewin either. Johan Engelbrecht, he's still out on track and still rolling in that 14th position. Is Johan Engelbrecht in the number 200 car. Surprising to see Johan in a BMW. He's pretty much a Porsche man by nature and by main circuit standards. It's Johan Engelbrecht. Doesn't get to ride all of the events, drives whenever he can. Michael Stephen a long way down. Gone back 8 positions. He'll not be happy with that one. And because of that initial... Oh, is this Swace Hubert has gone into the pits. I wonder if that is a drive-through. Swace Hubert just slows down and stops and then pulls away again. That's probably too many penalty points. He stops. Does he pull away straight away? Yep, there he goes. So probably too many penalty points. That's why he had to go into the pits and come back out again. And that is Swace Hubert. And he will come out in that 7th position. He started in 6th. He's one down to that 7th position. We've got 1 minute and 40 seconds to go. Leon van Wyk holding on to Timothy Stanton, but I think the success story of this race has to be Timothy Stanton. Leon van Wyk that got past Robert Briggs and has managed to stay ahead of Robert Briggs. Well, Robert finds himself in a bit of traffic. He's come up there behind Peter van der Spey. And he will, with it's about a minute to go, I don't think he's going to take any chances. He's not going to catch Leon. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. And he's got Michael Stephen in there behind him, who is literally a lap down. So that doesn't really matter to him either. Last lap for Timothy Stanton. Timothy has just done it all right today. He's got open ground in front of him. He's got nothing to worry about whatsoever. Apart, I can't say nothing, apart from making an error on the last lap. Because at the end of the day, it's not completely done and dusted. That little white dot there, that is the Leon van Wyk being IT Porsche. That's trying everything in the books to catch up to the front man. You can visually see the gap between the two of them, first and the second position. I don't believe Timothy Stanton has ever been able to pull off a pole position, not that I can remember, and a race win as well. So as long as he holds it all together and stays ahead of a Leon that has closed up considerably. But I think Timothy is just pacing himself at this stage of the fight to make 100% sure he gets to the end, and that will be his first race win from a race pole, I think, ever in the history of West Province Sports and GT Masters and all Grand Masters, and he does it in style. Well done, Timothy Stanton. That was a brilliant drive ahead of Leon van Wyk. As I said, I didn't think Robert was going to try and do anything fancy. He knows he's got that third position tied up. Robert Briggs comes through. Stephen McCarthy, the man that fared best out of the rest behind the Stephen brothers, piled up in turn number 1. Held on to that fourth position very nicely ahead of Peter Hubert. Sandro Macquarie giving it horns once again in the palm of that Porsche. Comes across the line, the leading Grandmaster, and a 6th overall. That's ahead of Swayze Hubert. Wow, Sandro. My man, that was brilliant stuff. Atinagel, I don't think he'll be overly excited about that one. I think he was also, hoe sê dit in Afrikaans, hy was 'n bietjie benadeel op hy eerste draai. Leonardo was being closed down a little bit by Peter van der Spey. He's missed 1 or 2 races in the season so far. I think we're round number 8 at the moment. And Leonardo will be the next man to come through, and that's still on the lead lap as well. And that puts him fair and square in 9th position, and 2nd in the Grand Masters. In the bigger scheme of things, that's where it really counts for him at this stage of the fight, and that will pretty much close it off. So let's have a look at those results if the computer will give it to us. Let's just pull that up for you quickly. Fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, fastest in the race. Driver of race number 1, gotta be Timothy Stanton, no doubt about it. Well done, Leon van Wyk, working hard to get past a bit of an unlucky Robert Briggs, but I mean, Robert will take it on the nose. Believe you me, he'll fight back. I'm not going to let that one go for free. Stephen McCarthy came off best out of that little melee in turn number 1. Held on to that pretty nicely. Peter Hubert, good recovery there by Peter Hubert as well. And nice to see him back into the top 5. Sandro beating out on Leonardo and Peter in the Grandmasters, and then in between them, Swayze, Ati. Graham Stephen will not be happy with that one. Neither will Michael either. But then again, I mean, they touch one another. So between the two of them, the cause of that demise. But that means problems for everybody. Problems because the front row of the grid in the invert, the top 12 invert, will mean that Michael Stephen will stand in pole position. Up, dust, disappear, get away. Have a nice day. Timothy, Leon, Robert gonna have to really go some, because with Michael pulling away at the front end of the grid, Graham directly behind him, it's going to be one hell of a day for the likes of Timothy, Leon, and Robert to be able to get in there. We're going to take a 1 minute and 20-second break, and we're going to come back to you with the grid. Right, let's have a look at that grid. Michael Stephen, Graham Stephen. Oh, goodness. Good luck, everybody. This is the race of the Stevens. You're going to have to try and catch them. How? I wish you all the best. Because with them on the front row of the grid, how do you catch them? Well, if anybody's going to be able to catch them, it's the man that's in top form right now, and that is Timothy Stanton. He'll be chasing down Leon van Wyk. Leon van Wyk once again finds himself behind Robert Briggs on the grid. So that's going to be an interesting one to see how that plays itself out. Who's going to be the quicker of the two? They'll work their way around. Let's just get you a nice open screen there that you can see lots and lots. This is going to be something else. So let's be realistic. Michael and Graham right up front. That means the likes of, let's say the big hitters on present form, Timothy Stanton, Leon van Wyk, and Robert Briggs. They odds on the three fastest out there. Let's give it to them. But for them to get from where they are, to get past Stephen McCarthy, Sandra Bakari, Peter Hubert, Swayze Hubert, Ati Nagel, Leonardo Bakari, Peter van der Spey, because it'll be a matter of corners, and the Stevens boys will be first and second unless something goes wrong. Commentators curse. And then it's going to be open season. And remember, they won't hold one another up. They're not going to fight one another. They're going to know the other big hitters are going to want to come and fetch them. So they're going to be hammered down, line astern, use one another's slipstream, try and get away as quick as possible. Now the likes of Leon will work his way through the pack as quickly as what he possibly can. I think he'll be a little bit more brazen and pushy than what you would probably see from the likes of Timothy Stanton. I think Timothy Stanton would be a little bit more set on trying to get a good result rather than go for all or nothing and then end up not getting a good result in the second race after total brilliance in race number one. So I tend to think that you might find that Timothy Stanton might climb in behind Leon and try and follow Leon through. Robert will definitely not want to let Leon through at all. Robert might be the man that leads that three-car train. Fastest and closest to them is probably going to be the likes of Stephen McCarthy. Will probably be pretty close to them as well. So it's going to be all systems go. Don't miss this one. This is going to be good. There you can see they've still got a little bit of a way to go. So Carl Lawrence and Wesley Lewin going to be coming off the back end of the pack. Just in front of them will be Johan Engelbrecht and Gerald Majay. That is 13th, 14th, 15th and 16th, which does not invert the well-known colors there of Timothy Stanton in the Roland's Manifold car. Gives you indication of the 12 that are inverted. There you can see the grey and green. Keep an eye on the Steven brothers. Oopsie. Just about good to go. Who's going to get it down into turn number one? Oh man, this is going to be good stuff. Oh, look at that. Is that Leon? Is it Leon? It's Sandra Bakari that's making up a couple of places as they open up. It's Michael Stephen and Peter van der Spey on the outside line, and it's Graham that's going to go up on the inside. They mustn't touch. Somebody's gone very, very wide. I think that could be Sandra that's dropped right down. Peter van der Spey in that third position. He's not going to want to give it away to Swayze. That's right there with him as they work their way through the third corner already. But Peter van der Spey has held on to that third position. He's got Swayze and Ati and Robert right in there behind him. So the first of the big hitters is already up into that sixth position. Can you believe it? Robert Briggs has got the red mist has come down. He says, Leon took me out and robbed me of that second position in the first race. I'll show you guys. I'll go and fetch the Stevens brothers. But the Stevens brothers have up, dusted, and disappeared. Look at that. There is Michael. There's Graham. There only is Swayze, Peter, Ati, and Robert is the first of the big hitters coming through. Then he's got Leonardo Bakari. He's pushing very hard. He's got Leonardo Bakari right in there behind him. Stephen McCarthy, Sandro Bakari. Then only do we see Leon van Wyk. Now, Leon's got Peter in there behind him. And as I say, Timothy Stanton's not going to go for any heroics. In fact, Timothy Stanton has not made up a single position to date with that BMW. He's the third place BMW overall. Not going to get stuck in the traffic. Leon in the being IT car climbs out. Timothy Stanton a little bit too hard going. Robert Briggs has done the same thing as well. So, as I said, the big hitters are Robert Briggs, Leon van Wyk, Timothy Stanton, not going to get stuck in the traffic. Don't take any chances on that first lap. Stick in the positions that you are. Robert Briggs is going to be the first one that's going to come out of the pits, obviously, because he was the first man to... No, Leon's out before Robert. Leon comes out in the being IT entry ahead of the Roland's Manifolds car. Robert Briggs is still standing. Robert Briggs is still standing. That's disaster for Robert Briggs. That is the last thing that he needs right now. The other man that's in there behind him is Jan Engelbrecht. I think Robert Briggs is going to be pretty much out of it. He said, oh, there he only eventually gets going now. So not sure why it took him so long. Michael Steven from Graham Steven from Swayze Hubert. That is the front three. So Swayze is holding on as best he can to the Stevens brothers. Michael's not waiting around to give Graham the tow at all. He's just climbed on the bus and said cheers and goodbye. Peter van der Spey finds himself ahead of Sandro and Leonardo Bakari. Having come up third in the previous race, he needs the win in the Grand Masters in this one, and he's going to be pushing very hard. He's got nothing to lose as captain. That's the Absolute Racing entry there, the Porsche. And in fact, the first 7 cars in this race are in fact Porsches. Wesley Lewin's got himself in a bit of a battle right now with Stephen McCarthy. That's just in front of him, and Leonardo Bakari using all the track and a little bit more. Stephen McCarthy's going to have to hold on to that line. Yes, he does. Stephen McCarthy manages to hold on with Leonardo right in there behind him. Leonardo, having come up tops in race number 1 in the Grand Masters, he's got to hoof it up because Peter van der Spey is notably further up the island. And Ati Nagel wants to get past Peter van der Spey. He's closing down on Peter. He's the only car that is between Peter van der Spey and Sandro Bakari. So there you can see there's Sandro just behind it. There's the two of them, and there comes Sandro Bakari. So Peter van der Spey, if he looks in his mirror, that's what he sees behind him. The first one is his buffer. It's called Ati Nagel. The second one is his nemesis, and it's called Sandro Bakari. So he gets himself into that situation and now finds himself where he has to hold Ati Nagel off. Otherwise, he becomes a bread and butter mix for Sandro Bakari that's desperately trying to hunt him down. Sandro will fancy staying ahead of Leonardo, but Peter can definitely limit the damage by staying exactly where he is. Swayze Hubert doesn't want to get involved in that fight whatsoever. Swayze Hubert has gone into the pits. Peter Hubert is in the pits in the Wild Rose entry as well. Stephen McCarthy will now come past, and he will bring with him a Wesley Lewin. And it looks like, Gerald Maget. Leonardo is going to be the next one coming through behind that. Not accustomed to seeing Leonardo in those colors. It actually looks a little bit strange, but so be it. Ati Nagel still in there behind Peter van der Spey. It's right on board with Ati Nagel. Let's see how hard is Peter actually driving that car. Nice and smooth from both drivers, Ati and Peter. Oh, is he going to go for the dive? Surely not. He's too far back. Ati Nagel goes in deep, turns it in tight. Peter did that one lovely. No problem with that. Nice and smooth. Captain Pete. I've actually driven on Peter van der Spey's rig a long time ago. But wow, he sets up that brake pedal that you got to have serious leg muscles. Oh, that's going to cost him. That's going to cost a lot, and that brings Atinachel right up onto the back of Peter van der Spey. Sander Bakari 2.5 seconds further back from Atinachel. Peter's done well to open up that gap from Ati a little bit more. He says, I'm getting stuck here. I'm not getting... Oh, he does a Timothy Stanton on himself. Who was it that went wide? No, it was Leon that went wide. And Ati takes it into the pits. And, well, that's going to be interesting to see how that one plays itself out. Let's see who has been into the pits already. So the lead man in and out of the pits. Remember, I said he's not going to get stuck in traffic at all, is Leon. He's got an 8-second highway open ahead of him, which is going to work very much in his favor. Behind him is Timothy Stanton. Is Robert Briggs going to be in the same? No, he's not even in the same picture. It's a long way back to Robert Briggs. So what we need to do is have a look at the times that's now been put up by those two gents that we just spoke about, because they have been in and out of the pits already. Let's just have a look-see at the pit stops. The leaders in the pit stops, Leon van Wyk and Atinachel. And if we look at their last lap times, Leon van Wyk a 32.4. Okay, Ati's just come out of the pit, so that doesn't mean much. That's why it's a 55. So we'll have to wait a little bit before we'll be able to get a real indicator as to who's doing what kind of lap times, who can close up on who, and we will try and do a bit of a prediction as to how we see that one playing itself out. What I can tell you is from the green flag until now, I'm just looking through the incidents report here as we keep an eye on Robert Briggs, that there has not been a single person that has been registered as actually having a crash right from the time that the green lights went and the green flags went. There's been people that have had it off circuits, but nobody that's actually been registered as a crash. A non-crash scenario for Michael Stephen from this one. Michael Stephen getting away from brother Graham. Not disappearing into the future either is Peter van der Spey, that's holding on to them. He's not allowing them to get away, although he doesn't have the buffer of Atinachel anymore. And there is his nemesis. His name is Sandro Bakari. Let's have a look at the lap times between Peter van der Spey. His last one was a 134.2. Sandro a 133.9. 0.3 of a second. That means that Sandro Bakari, if he carries on doing what he did, the man you see on screen there, if he carries on doing that for another couple of laps, he is going to be all over the back of Peter van der Spey. But they'll show lots of respect to one another. There's no doubt about that. They will drive fair. And in fact, you'll probably find if Sandro tries to do a passing maneuver on Peter and they touch, and he doesn't feel that it was a fair contact, he'll actually slack off, let Peter pass again, and then go back onto the attack. That's the level of decency that there is between them. As he comes across the line, let's have a look. See Sandro Vicario 133.9 and a 34.2 by Peter. That was the last times that they did put up, so we'll wait for the new times to come through. But very few people that are doing in the 33. Sandro Bakari in the 33.9s, a 33.3 by Michael Stephen on his last lap. And Graham does not have an answer for Michael in this one. That man that you see out, as I said, if he pulls away at the front, you can forget it. Good night, nurse. Have a nice day. Start fighting for second and third position. Michael Stephen leading out from brother Graham. A brilliant drive by Peter van der Spey. Pressure man, Sandro Bakari, not that far behind him. Stephen McCarthy, two good races so far, back to back, staying out of the melee in turn number one, race number one, lap number one, and once again getting himself into a very decent position. Wesley Lewin, a good one for Wesley. Gerald Maget, wow, a nice one for Gerald. He finds himself there in the mid-pack. Leonardo would love to be up there with Sandro and Peter. Has Sandro really been able to close up that much? Yep, there's Peter in front of him. Second gear, third gear, fourth gear. Get yourself onto that outside line. Use as enough of that outside curb as you can. Scrape off just enough that you can take that climb up over the hill. Not a blind rise. Drop slightly down. Peter locked up that right hand front wheel. Right up against the curbstone. Perfect piece of lining. Short shift to make sure that you don't get too much wheel spin coming out there. That'll turn you around. Don't touch that blue line on the inside. Keep two wheels at least on the circuit. A late apex. Carry as much space as what you possibly can. That makes a big difference, because look at the speed now as he works his way down the straight. Let the left hand side wheels go onto the curbstones, but that rumble strip, but not too much, because that can affect you under hard braking. If you two wheels on the rumbles and two wheels off of the rumble strip, carry good speed through there, feather it nice and neatly. Not a too early apex for that one. Once again, short shift from third through to fourth. Start it very, very wide. Run it right to the outside. Hold it on the outside. Late apex once again. Very close to the edge of the circuit. He's doing it all right, but Peter is holding him at bay at this stage of the fight, taking those two corners and making it literally into one corner as they come through the last corner. And you've just done a lap on board with Sandro Bakari, second in the Grand Masters, fourth overall on circuit, and trying to get to Peter van der Spy. Look at that. Yeah, he's closed off by about 9/10 of a second. So it is starting to close down. Sandro Bakari 1.7 behind Peter van der Spy. But there's a battle further back. Timothy Stanton, Atti Nagel. Timothy Stanton and Atti Nagel. Well, that was Leonardo Bakari that came in there. That came back on track. As we ride on board with Timothy Stanton, that's Atti Nagel directly in front of him. Now, if we have a look at those pit stops, Timothy Stanton's got Atti Nagel just in front of him, less than 1/10 of a second, and that white high-speed dot that you see just in front of it, that is Leon van Wyk. So you're actually looking at the post-pit stop, first, second, third place battle. It's all about where Michael and Graham are going to come back out onto the circuit after they've done their stops. I think they will be pretty fine. I think they will end up probably in first and second position. Peter van der Spy. Oh, into the pit lane comes Michael Steven. It's on. Here it's going to happen. There is Michael Steven coming into the pits. What's Graham going to do? Is he going to keep the flag flying? Yep. Steven will keep it flying. Peter van der Spy says, you go, I go. Oh, yet another one that makes that error and goes onto the grass. Sandro Bakari, he's going to go straight through. He's going to go for track position. Stephen McCarthy, he's going to go for track position. Wesley Lewin is going to go for track position. Gerald Maget is going to stay there. And now Leon, oh, massive. Maget had a massive off. He was trying to go into the pits and it didn't work. Michael Steven is coming out of the pits. Where is Leon van Wyk? Michael Steven's going to take the lead. There is Leon van Wyk. Where is Michael Steven? There's Michael Steven. He's come out of the pits. And as we said, Michael Steven will probably have the advantage at that point. And 5.5 seconds, in fact, he's got. There you see Michael. And there's Leon coming through that corner. Timothy Stanton and Atti Nagel in a close proximity. So the unknown factor at this stage of the fight is going to be Graham Steven. Now, if you take the gap from Leon van Wyk to Michael Steven, it's going to be so close when Graham comes out. Has Graham got traffic in front of him? Nope, he's got 6 seconds of open air in front of him. He's now just got to decide at what point does he come into the pits. Is there enough time for him to get in and out? We're about to, snaking it on the brakes. Desperate times to get into the pits there. Right, so he goes in. What about Sandro Bakari? Sandro is going to go in as well. What about Stephen McCarthy? Stephen's going to come in as well. Wesley Lewin is going to go for track position. No, Wesley's going to go in as well. So Michael Stephen, here he comes. Michael Stephen, can he get out before Brother Graham? There's Michael. Coming along, there's Michael. There is Graham's on his way out. Michael Stephen will go to the front. Graham Stephen will come out in that second position. And that ahead of Leon van Wyk. There's Leon van Wyk as he comes through. Leon van Wyk. Ati Nagel's doing a brilliant job. He's staying ahead of race 1 qualifier and race winner Timothy Stanton. Timothy taking it nice and smooth, making sure that he doesn't make any mistakes. A 5th and a 1st will serve him brilliantly points wise. Remember, no Willem out there today, so that comes in handy. No Gerald Fourie out there today. Cats go away, the mice come out to play. Michael Stephen, Graham Stephen saying it didn't work out for us in heat number 1. We could have had a 1-2. Give it to Timothy and the boys, Timothy and Robert, and Mr. Sujin Properties as well. But the second one we've got to wrap up in the absence of those other 2 big hitters. Gerald Fourie would have made it look completely different, believe you me. Timothy Stanton's trying to make the move, but is he prepared to take the chance with 7.5 minutes to go? Is it going to be worth it to take the chance to go on serious attack onto Ati Nagel? Probably is, if you think, oh, he went in a little bit deep there, that's going to cost him. Yeah, you can see there Ati's going to pull away from him just a little bit. The problem is he can see Leon in front, and in fact he can see Graham just in front of that. So even though his mind is telling him don't push it unnecessarily, his right foot is saying leave me alone, I'm going to go and fetch these guys and let's go up a couple of positions. A very twisty, windy circuit that we are on. JEREZ, for those of you that have just joined us. Second Gear Productions bringing you this live productions. We're right on board with Timothy Stanton, winner of race number 1 in that 5th position. Looking at 4th in front of him, looking at 3rd just in front of that in the same camera shot, looking at 2nd in for a second in that camera shot as well. But you got to put your hands together for Michael Stephen. They might have made a mistake, him and his brother, in the first race, but now he's just so smooth out there. Is Michael Stephen. As we said, if he goes away at the front, you ain't gonna catch him. He didn't stick around for Brother Graham either. He said, Graham, you sort your stuff out, I'm gonna keep on trucking. And well, maybe with good cause, because Leon van Wyk in the being IT entry is becoming a bit of a factor. And Ati Nagel has got Timothy Stanton. I think Timothy's realized it's now or never. He's got to go for it. He gets up into the slipstream on Leon van Wyk. Timothy Stanton now getting a whole bunch closer. Now, if you think about it, if Timothy Stanton can get to Ati Nagel, it's only 2.4 seconds and 5.5 minutes to go to be able to maybe get to the back of Leon. It's a bit of a long shot. It's where's Peter van der Spy? There's Captain Peter van der Spy. He's doing what he needs to do to stay at the head of his class. And Sandro's a long way down. So unless Peter has something disastrous happen, he came 3rd in race number 1 in class. He'll come up as the winner in class of race number 2. And Sandro will have a 1st and a 2nd, and Peter will have a 1st and a 3rd. So Sandro will once again eat a couple of points away from Peter van der Spy, as we've got 4.5 minutes. So that number 13 of a possible 16, as we watch Peter van der Spy work his way around. The closest battle still remains the one just in front of him. That is Timothy Stanton and Ati Nagel. Johan Engelbrecht has got himself up into the top 10. A nice little drive there by Johan Engelbrecht, a man that doesn't practice much. He just comes up on the race day and says, I want to play with, let me have some fun, enjoys his race, and that's how he likes to do it. Is Johan Engelbrecht, legend from Killarney International Raceway, Western Province Motor Club. In fact, Power Series coming up the 31st of August 2024, this month. And I'm sure Johan Engelbrecht and the boys will be down at the Porsche Club and watching the racing from their vantage point on the Porsche Straight at Killarney International. Remember this guy? His name's Michael Stephen. He's lonely. There's nobody anywhere near him. The closest to him is his brother. That's Graham. There comes Leon. All in the same fight. There's Atti Nagel, Timothy Stanton trying different lines, trying different angles. Oh, that's going to cost him. I think that's probably going to be one of the last efforts Timothy's going to be able to make. Atti Nagel has had a very good race, a very consistent drive. He's taken tons of pressure from a riding high Timothy Stanton in the Roland Manifolds entry. And to my mind, I'm going to say at this stage, oh, don't make contact. I think for absorbing all of that pressure, I'm going to say that Atti Nagel would be my, at this point, nomination for driver of the race for the second race, taking all that pressure from Timothy Stanton. Pity Hubert finds himself a long way down, as does Gerald Mouget and Swayze Hubert, so this hasn't been good ones for them at all. So while we've still got a second, Michael Stephen from Graham Stephen, Leon van Wyk, Atti Nagel, Timothy Stanton, in a bit of a gap back to Peter van der Spey, that's done a sterling job this time around. Stephen McCarthy won't mind this one at all. He came up with a 4th and he looks well on his way to a 7th. So he'll take that Sujin Properties BMW, the second of the front-end BMWs. He'll take that with a big smile, I think, to the end of the race. No reason not. Stephen's done pretty well. Robert Briggs, I think he'll feel a bit aggrieved with what happened in race number 1. And coming through the pack is not always was not going to be an easy one. Timothy Stanton has another go. He's not giving up, his Timothy Stanton. Just 1 minute 20 seconds to go. So where's our lead man, Michael Stephen? He's going to be getting the white flag probably when he comes through this time. Let's see if we can pick it up. Does it go to the white flag? Yes, it does. There it is. The white flags are being waved there. Double whites saying, guys, if you missed the first one, have a look at the second one. There's Graham Stephen. There's Leon van Wyk once again in the top 3. Atti Nagel's gone. Has he gone into the pits? Atti Nagel into the pits. He must have, he must be on a stop and go. Timothy Stanton says, hallelujah. That gives me the position I was looking for. But remember, Leon van Wyk's still in front of him. That means Leon van Wyk picks up 2 podiums. A second in the first race and a 3rd in the second race. So that would probably make Leon van Wyk top scorer overall for the day. Or level on points with Timothy. That will have a win and a 4th. Yeah, probably is going to work out to around about the same points. So both of them will be pretty chuffed with how the day has played out. Wesley Lewin is in the pits. Atti Nagel has come back out on track, so there must have been a stop and go that he had to do. So unfortunately that's cost him very badly. There comes our lead car. Well, no commentator's curse whatsoever. Exactly as I predicted is exactly what he has done. Awesome stuff. The man of the moment, the man of the race, Michael Stephen, takes the checkered flag. Here comes Graham First and second, as we predicted. Third will go to Leon. He'll be very chuffed with that one. Leon picking up a second and a third for race 1 and race 2. Timothy Stanton a win and a fourth. So they'll probably pick up even points. Brilliant drive, Peter van der Spey and Stephen McCarthy. 2 very good drives that came through there. Robert Briggs, he deserved better than what he ended up with, but it is what it is. Such is motorsport. Atti Nagel with having to go into the pits, that's cost him very, very dearly. He was sitting in a very good top 5 position. It actually shows that Atti Nagel crashed. If the computer doesn't kill me too quickly, I'll try and show you what happened to Atti Nagel right at the end. So maybe he was forced to go into the pits. It wasn't just of choice. Sandro Bakari, well done, Sandro Bakari. A first and a second as opposed to a first and a third by Peter van der Spey, Swiss Hubert, Johan Engelbrecht. Lovely to see Uncle Johan out there still. One more car still to come, and that is Peter Hubert. And he's the last man to come across the line. Let's see if we can pick up what happened to Atti Nagel right there on the last. Okay, nothing too major apart from that. That was just a case of trying to get it going as quick as possible again. And that was then the end of that one. Brilliant stuff. Let's have a look at some of those results for you. So that heat number 1 that we had earlier on, let's just show you that one. Timothy from Leon, from Robert, Stephen and Peter Hubert. Remember the 2 Stephen brothers coming up 10th and 12th on that one. The feature race that we just did now, the Stephen brothers coming up 1st and 2nd, as opposed to the 10th and 12th. Leon van Wyk up in that 3rd position, Timothy Stanton in 4th. So I would tend to say that the 2 of them probably scored the same number of points. Peter van der Spey that battled in heat number 1. Let's see where Captain Pete was in heat number 1. He came up 11th and 3rd in class, with Sandro ahead of Leonardo in the Grand Masters. And this time it's Peter from Sandro from Leonardo. So that means Leonardo has got a 2nd and a 3rd. Sandro's got a 1st and a 2nd, and Peter's got a 1st and a 3rd. That would make Sandro Bakari the top point scorers in the Grand Masters as such. Robert Briggs was fighting for that. He was in 2nd position, got a bit of a contact there with Leon van Wyk in race number 1 and dropped down. Didn't really manage to get to the traffic as well as what he would have liked to, and he took the 7th position overall at the end of the day. Pity about Carl Lawrence and Wesley Lewin. It didn't really work out too nice for them at all. They didn't manage to get any further up the island. So that was GTEs from JEREZ. That's the circuit that we've just been on. From my side, Gary Fleming, thank you very much for joining us. Look forward to seeing you same time next week, Wednesday, when we're going to come back to you with the next round of Season 11. And we'll be moving away from GTEs and JEREZ. What's it going to be? We'll find out around about Sunday evening when that information gets passed through to the lads by Luke Lukezi. A big thanks to Luke Lukezi that does all the hard work in the background and just makes it so nice for all of us to enjoy ourselves on a Wednesday night. From Second Year Productions, Gary Gazer, Velgelegen, down in the friendly city of Cape Town. Thanks for joining us. Cheers, everybody.